In Brazil, candidate Lula da Silva holds new mass rally in Rio de Janeiro. In a public letter, Lula reiterated his commitment to respect religious freedoms. President Gustavo Petro leads the closing of the political and cultural minga of southwestern Colombia for defense of life, territory, and peace. And in France, all refinery employees on strike demanding wage increases will maintain blockades. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Brazil, presidential candidate Luis Lula da Silva held a new mass rally in Rio de Janeiro in preparation for October 30th runoff elections. The presidential candidate for the Workers' Party made a tour of the Estrada de Itararé. There, Lula da Silva talked with the city's community leaders, together with Mayor Eduardo Paes. During the meeting, Lula affirmed that if elected president, he will create committees so that the people of the favelas can help decide what the government will do. The candidate will also promise to create 4 more jobs and guarantee benefits to small businessmen so that they can grow again. The president of Argentina, Alberto Fernandez, met with representatives of Mapuche communities in the middle of the claims for the 3 women detained during the evictions of these communities in recent days. The hunger strike, maintained by demonstrators, sparked tensions within the government, and the resignation of the Minister of Women, Gender and Diversity of Argentina, Elizabeth Gomez Alcorta. In this regard, the head of state and representatives of the Mapuche communities agreed to organize a space for dialogue to resolve the conflicts. President Fernandez reiterated his commitment to the communities to guarantee respect for indigenous cultures, while stressing the need to advance in the dialogue to continue the multicultural construction. The president of Peru, Pedro Castillo, denounced being the victim of political persecution after being accused before Congress of leading an alleged criminal organization. The president considered that the accusation is a new form of coup d'etat that they want to implement in Peru. Nevertheless, he reaffirmed his commitment with the Peruvian people and reiterated that he will comply with the mandate he was given when he was elected as head of state. Let us remember that the public prosecutor, Patricia Benavides, filed a constitutional complaint against President Castillo before Congress. In this context, Parliament will have to evaluate the document and decide how to proceed. However, the prosecutor's complaint is not based on the 4 crimes for which the president can be accused. President of Colombia, Gustavo Petro, led Wednesday the closing of the political and cultural minga of southwestern Colombia for the defense of life, territory, and peace. The Colombian head of state listened to the proposals of indigenous communities and other social sectors participating in the minga. According to the Regional Indigenous Council of Cauca, the community of Cauca is interested in the declarations of the government regarding the situation of violence and non-compliance with the peace agreements. After this meeting with indigenous people, President Petro will travel to Santander de Quilichao, department of Cauca, where he will lead a meeting with Afro communities and a human rights table. In Venezuela, work continues on the removal of debris, search for survivors, and delivery of aid to the town of Las Tejerias, affected by a flood on Saturday, October 8th. Leonel Retamao from Aragua with the details.
43 people have already died and more than 50 are missing after the torrential landslide that affected the town of Las Tejerias in the state of Aragua, Venezuela. The impact of the tragedy is still evident, but solidarity has been strongly felt.
Everybody's helping, collaborating in whatever we can. It is the people, and the people of the community will always support their people.
We are strong when we unite. There are a lot of people who are supporting us. People from here, people from all over. I thank God and all the people who are supporting us.
Military brigades and all the institutions of the state are working quickly in cleaning up because the rainy season has not ended. There is a total deployment of the government. It's taken over by the armed forces. It's declared emergency zone. Therefore, there are restrictions on access to allow quick work to the right people who are doing specific removal, repair, containment work. We also spoke with health brigades that are doing important work in psychological care for the people. The authorities intensified the presence of machinery to fulfill the task of clearing and cleaning the area.
The support has been quite great. We have full support. The machinery that arrived today was larger, more powerful, and we have made a lot of progress in this process of cleaning the area. The government and the people are committed. We can see progress, and we are going to get through all of this.
Rescue teams, civil protection, machinery operators, health personnel, and anonymous hands continue helping to lift the town.
All of us who make life here in this area are deployed. The hospitals, the ASIC, the healthcare and welfare institutions. We are all here.
Throughout the area of the creek, there are affected houses, some of which are difficult to access off the mountain, which require attention for days after the avalanche.
We've been able to arrive with food and water to the most remote areas that we have difficulty entering. But the teams have arrived. They are there and are receiving, thanks to the Bolivarian National Armed Forces, from helicopters, food and water to be distributed in the territory.
At the same time, they are thinking about the reconstruction stage. The government announced that 440 houses will be built in the state of Aragua for the affected people. Others accepted to move to other states to be relocated.
That Tejerías will not be the Tejerías it was before, but a more blessed Tejerías. That it be a Tejerías with many blessings. We know that even if they put Tejerías beautiful, we are not going to forget what happened on third day. We are not going to forget those loved ones who were lost in those waters. But we know we will. Tejerías hit rock bottom, but Tejerías is going to rise again.
Technical and scientific teams will work to rebuild, avoiding new disasters, considering the topographic conditions of the area and the effect of global climate change.
teleSUR, Las Tejerías, Venezuela. In Puerto Rico, thousands of people are still without electricity after the damage caused by Hurricane Fiona a month ago. The operating company, Luma Energy, warned on Tuesday that due to the damage caused by the hurricane to the generation fleet, there will be recurring interruptions in the service during the next few months. The entity proposed a plan to mitigate the damages, which includes a program to rebuild the damaged generation plants and, in parallel, the acquisition and implementation of portable generators to face the energy deficit through the next 12 to 18 months. Let's take a short break, but first remember you can now follow us on TikTok at the account at teleSUR English, in which you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates and much more. Other stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back From the South. Striking French oil refinery employees voted Wednesday to maintain blockades now in their third week, despite a government order for some of them to return to work in a bid to get fuel supplies flowing. These strikes action demand wage increases and have paralyzed 6 of France's 7 fuel refineries, causing gasoline and diesel shortages aggravated by panicked drivers. The government, which had already threatened to use emergency powers, allowing it to order essential workers back to work, announced Wednesday that it would implement them as the strikes entered their third week. Energy companies have affirmed that it would meet with all union representatives, having previously insisted that it would only meet with those who agreed to end the blockades.
Unfortunately, we have this government which is interfering in our movement, trying to prevent our strike movement by imposing and requesting striking employees to distribute fuel to all French petrol stations.
European Union energy ministers met in Prague on Wednesday to discuss their continued response to the bloc's energy crisis. During the meeting, Energy Commissioner Kadri Simpson said the EU had been preparing for the expected winter rise in demand by feeding stores 15% beyond the equivalent point this time last year. Czech Industry and Trade Minister Josef Sikela said the aim was to use the bloc's joint purchasing power to secure supplies. An agreement on energy prices is said to be announced and endorsed by EU leaders at next week's summit. The 27-nation bloc has managed to fill gas reserves to 90%. European leaders have flocked to countries like Norway, Qatar, Azerbaijan, and especially those in North Africa, while Algeria has a pipeline running to Italy and other to Spain.
We need to finally step up and implement the common purchasing of gas. We need to speak to our partner countries which supply Europe with gas in order to help bringing down the excessively high prices. We have to coordinate our demand reduction measures even more, and in particular we understand now much better how the spot market price for gas is influencing all the contracts, and we are confident that it is possible to find common ways to reduce prices, but at the same time to avoid rationing and to ensure that still market forces are in place to help us limiting demand.
David Ige, governor of Hawaii, signed an executive order that aims to prevent other states from punishing residents who get an abortion in the islands. The order takes effect immediately and provoke other states to stop the sanctions against local doctors and nurses who provide such care. Ige's order directs the State Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs to work with professional licensure boards to ensure no one loses a license for providing reproductive health care so long as the services provided were lawful and consistent with standards for good professional practice in Hawaii. On Wednesday, 3 Philadelphia police officers were shot and wounded when a SWAT team tried to arrest a man wanted on a homicide charge. According to First Deputy Commissioner John Stanford, the shooting occurred around 6:30 a.m. local time. The 19-year-old suspect, whose name was not released, fired at officers through a window as they were attempting to knock on the front door. The man tried to exit the back of the home while firing at officers, who returned fire. The suspect was wanted for homicide that occurred in August and was also a suspect in several armed robberies. The 19-year-old was taken to the hospital and pronounced dead. Russian President Vladimir Putin said that he is ready to supply energy to Europe and proposed to create the largest gas transportation hub for the bloc in Turkey. Speaking at the Russia Energy Week conference in Moscow, the head of state said his country could redirect supplies intended for the damaged Nord Stream pipelines to the Black Sea to create the hub in Turkey, or even use the one intact part of Nord Stream 2 to supply the European Union. Meanwhile, the Turkish Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, Fatih Dönmez, said that President Putin's idea of moving gas transit is technically possible and should be studied in detail. According to Turkish state-run broadcaster TRT Haber, President Vladimir Putin and his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan would discuss the idea of moving gas transit from the Nord Stream pipelines to the Black Sea during a meeting in Astana on Thursday. In the framework of the Russia Energy Week conference in Moscow, President Vladimir Putin said Russia will not supply energy resources to countries that would likely set a price on them.
We will not supply energy resources to those countries that will set price cap on them, to those who, instead of business partnerships and market mechanisms, prefer cheatings, tricks, and shameless blackmail. And we have been living in such a paradigm in the political sphere for decades. I want to say that we'll not act to our own detriment.
The Turkish National Defense Ministry confirmed on Wednesday that 11 more ships left Ukrainian ports under the Istanbul grain export deal. Through a statement, the ministry said the shipments continued as planned, although they did not disclose its point of origin. Turkey, the United Nations, Russia, and Ukraine signed an agreement in Istanbul on July 22nd to resume grain exports from the three Ukrainian Black Sea ports, which paused after the start of the Russian special military operation in Ukraine in February. Since the first ship left Ukraine under the deal, nearly 300 ships with over 7 million tons of agricultural products have left the ports. And we have more news coming up after a financial break, so don't go away. Welcome back from the south. In Uganda, Health Minister Jane Ruth Aceng reported that the new Ebola outbreak has killed 19 people so far. The health official added that the 5 medical staff members who contracted Ebola from treating the first confirmed case have recovered and have been discharged from an isolation unit in Entebbe. Ruth said the 5 affected districts have seen 54 cumulative confirmed cases, with 19 deaths and 20 recoveries. Ebola is often fatal, but vaccines and treatments are now available for hemorrhagic fever, which is transmitted to humans by infected animals.
I sincerely hope that working together, we shall come up with practical solutions to better protect our communities and reduce any chances of cross-border spread of this virus in the spirit of African solutions for African problems. In the long term, as African governments, we need to bolster investment in research and development, innovation, and manufacturing of health tools such as vaccines, diagnostics, and essential therapeutics to address the wide spectrum of diseases that threaten us.
On Tuesday, India halted all production at the main factory of Maiden Pharmaceuticals near New Delhi after WHO reported that its cough syrups may be linked to the death of dozens of children in the Gambia. The recent incident, which has claimed the lives of 69 children, according to WHO, has come as a blow to the industry, whose exports more than doubled in the last decade to hit $24.5 billion last fiscal year. Indian authorities inspected the Maiden factory in the state of Haryana 4 times this month and suspended all manufacturing activities on grounds of deficiencies found in location inspection. A top Indian health official who declined to be named said the government would not tolerate wrongdoing, but that it was important to find out what exactly happened in the Gambia. Three Kenyan teachers are missing after Al-Shabaab militants struck at local school in Mandera County near the Somali border on Wednesday. According to Northeastern Police Commander George Seda, the heavily armed militants say they were after 3 non-local Christian teachers who were present at the Libehia Primary School, prompting the teachers to escape. The attack was disrupted by a group of National Police Reservists in the area who responded and engaged the attackers. The same group of militants also targeted a communication post in a shopping center, but were also repelled by reservists who were manning it. All Shabab militants usually destroy telecommunication posts to disrupt police response and communication in the area along the common border before they launch their attacks against locals, especially schools and other learning institutions. In Iran, Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei denounced that the protests of recent days are the result of Western manipulation of the nation's progress. The leader of the Islamic Revolution stated in a meeting with the new members of the Discernment Council of Iran that the acts of vandalism of last weeks were not spontaneous but directed from abroad. He also assured that the adversaries will continue with the hostile policy as long as the people continue to support the Islamic system. Ali Khamenei also pointed out that the actions of the United States, Israel, and European countries are provoking the destabilization of the Persian country in reaction to its development. Military rule Myanmar on Wednesday sentenced activist and outspoken leader Aung San Suu Kyi to 6 more years in prison for alleged corruption. These are the latest in a string of sentences Suu Kyi has faced since she was ousted in a military coup in February 2021. With Wednesday's sentencing, the 77-year-old Nobel Peace Laureate's sentence has been extended to a total of 26 years in prison for alleged corruption, incitement to violence, breach of COVID-19 rules, electoral fraud, and violation of the official secrets law. The military coup d'etat in Myanmar on February 1st plunged the country into a deep political, social, and economic crisis, opening a spiral of violence and repression. We have come to the end of this news program. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.